And we are recording on Friday, February 7th, 2025 at 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time with Mr. Basil Baz. You talk about really kind of the nonstop hectic, the downside of the plane crashes, the upside of the border being secured. And Baz was saying I'm not coming through all the way, and I think I have a very sore throat for everybody listening, and I can feel it that I'm not putting like the full force behind it. I guess because I'm a weak man, and and this is the bottleneck survival for me. Baz has been on here a million times before, actually, and I think I told you this starting like 6 months ago. Guys, the link to ARC is in the description of every single show, not just shows with Baz. It's every single show. You can go in and see what you can do to help the Association for the Recovery of Children, whether it's donate, whether it's take a test, or whether it's just become more cognizant of what's going on. Baz is the only person who I plug you into every single show. So that's you are one of one on that. So for whatever
Thanks,
it's
Tommy.
worth,
We
that's the
appreciate it.
honor you get. But to kind of get into it, it's because you were initially more interested in the plane crashes, and I just did an episode before this about the opioid epidemic, and that's directly impacted by Trump's border policies, and I would imagine human trafficking is as well. But to get to the plane crashes, because it seemed like that's what you were more interested in, what exactly is the takeaway or the thing that maybe the common man like myself isn't seeing?
Yeah. I think more so than just the crash, but I think all the mishaps that we're dealing with in America, I think it's a matter of actually addressing accountability. One of the things that stood out to me most when we were looking at that sequence of events wasn't the fact that there was some pilot error there, as much as it was when I was looking at ATC and I got the word that they were 11 people short staffed, you know, they were missing basically 11 people. Excuse me. And that I looked at all the records of the people that had been turned down as far as hires that were highly qualified, but because of the whole DEI thing, they weren't hired. So, every time we have an incident happen, and this is historical in America, and I think my message to the audience is this: is that until there is accountability for these actions by those people who are responsible for hiring these people, so to speak. So, for example, who's the head of the FAA? Why I would, and the parents go to push some kind of action against the FAA or the federal government for this mishap that caused a lot death. It generally ends up in a civil action. And so years and years and years later, maybe there's a payoff, monetary payoff, so to speak. Why are we not looking at neglect and homicide or yeah, negligent homicide? Why aren't the parents of these lost souls actually considering going after the head of the FAA for negligent homicide? I mean, truly, you could have hired the other 11, but you were short 11. And the question is, would that have made a difference? It probably would have made a difference because you'd have more eyes watching what was flying around the DC area. So I want people in America to start thinking outside of the civil realm and more into the criminal realm. I'll give you an example of that. Since the open border situation, which was primarily allowed through the Biden administration, and those Democrats and maybe some Republicans in the House and the Senate that approved of that or turned a blind eye to it, crimes against children has gone up tenfold. We know that. Crime in America has risen. And the number of children that have been abused by illegal immigrants is off the charts now. So, knowing that those leaders or those people that we put in place willfully made a decision to leave the border open, the next time we have a child that is trafficked by an illegal alien or sexually abused by an illegal alien or murdered by an illegal alien, I want to encourage the parents to not only bring criminal charges against that illegal alien, but I want them to bring criminal charges against Biden, Harris, and any Democrat or any Republican that voted to keep those borders open because clearly they are complicit in the crime. Sure. If I'm a military commander and I know there's a choke point that I shouldn't take my men through, and I willfully or intentionally take them through and they're ambushed and killed, I'm going to stand before my superiors to account for why I did that action. Why did I cause the loss of life with my troops when I could have gone in a different direction, whatever it may be? Now, I know a lot of people that I've talked to said, well, we're not going to even get down the road with something like that because senators have immunity. They do to a certain degree, but not against felonies. There's no immunity for them with felonies. So what is murder? Is it a felony? I believe it is it not? Yeah. So I think that all of a sudden, when all of a sudden the members of the House or the Senate, and there's a lot of great people up there, but there's a lot of rotten people too, when they know that they can go to prison for their decision making or their policy when it goes sideways, I think they'll pay more attention to what they're doing. The only reason that that isn't happening right now is most Americans don't know that they can go after the House or the Senate on felony charges. They maybe their attorneys aren't smart enough to say, wait a minute, my son died at the hands of this illegal alien. This illegal alien who was a murderer in Guatemala or Mexico or wherever it may be was allowed to come into this country by the decision that that senator made. He's complicit in that crime. It is no different than if, Tommy, if you and I are sitting in a room and I know there's a rabid dog outside the door and I open the door and let that dog come in and attack you and kill you, did I not participate in that crime?
Hmm.
Absolutely, I did. So I want Americans to start thinking in that direction, to be honest with you, because I cannot tell you over the course of history how many people do end up in a civil fight that lasts years and years and years and years. And so what? Once you get the money, does it bring your loved one back? Does it bring your son or daughter who was raped by an illegal immigrant back? No. So we've got to start putting some accountability measures in place, and those are the ones that I think are the most important right now. I am actually pushing and to have someone sponsor a bill to look at that very issue right there. I'll be trying to introduce that in Washington as soon as our attorneys finish writing that up. But I'm going for the jugular here because I'm just sick and tired of gambling with our children and letting these things get away and allowing people that believe they have so much power in Washington that they can do whatever they want to do and get away with it. And it's time that we, the people, put a stop to that.
Specifically, which bill? The to have accountability against the people that voted for the open border.
Say again.
You said you're pushing for legislation for which
Yeah,
specifically for
we're
the
putting a bill in place that we'll introduce, which will basically say, look, if you voted if you voted and to have open borders, and there's an American child that is abused or killed or whatever it may be at the hands of an illegal immigrant, the parent should have the right to not just sue you, but bring criminal charges against that illegal immigrant and against those members of the Senate or the House that allowed that to happen. And that's what I'm pushing for.
and I think all these things are legitimately possible in that the last, whatever, 18 days, however long he's been in office, have just been wild. In that, I think Trump announced yesterday they're going to start investigating like the funding for the Iraq and Afghanistan war. So I mean, really nothing's off the table right now. And I think that, I mean, the fact that the Overton window has shifted so far, like 2016 Trump versus 2024 Trump, he makes 2016 Trump look like a loser. I mean, they're slashing USAID and like the intelligence community's propaganda. It's a wild time to witness this. Saying all that to say, anything's kind of possible right now. Like the iron is very, very hot and it is being reshaped rapidly in ways that it hasn't been reshaped for decades. So I don't think this is just like, oh, that's a noble idea, Baz. I'm like, no, that could legitimate. No part of me would be surprised if you text me in a week and you're like, yeah, suing these center. I'd be like, yeah, yeah, I expect that. It's and now is the time to do it as well. If it is hot,
Yeah,
now is the time to do it because you can award someone $1 billion. Sure. I would imagine, sure, that money probably does help in therapy and all that. You don't get the family member back. And so the reason it's like, so then why do it? Because revenge also doesn't get them back. Correct. But what it does do is you can prevent it from happening to somebody else. By not
yeah,
doing that, you are complicit. It's the same reason that, drunk driver kills a family of five, goes to jail for the rest of his life. Maybe he's 20. By 30, after 10 years in prison, is that guy probably reformed? I would imagine he probably is. I would imagine he legitimately regrets it. And if he was out, he would never drink again. But the reason I would say that guy has to stay in prison for the rest of his life until he dies is so the next 20-year-old that goes, they keep you in there forever. It is now a deterrent. And who's a deterrent for? It's a deterrent against people who would take future innocent lives. So it's not about revenge on the drunk driver. It's about every other minivan full of little kids. They are innocent. They deserve their own life. And if they screw it up, that's fine. But they're innocent. It's not revenge. It's deterrence. And sure,
yeah,
revenge can feel great. Sure, I get the human condition, but it's deterrence. And I think that's where this needs to go is so in a year or 10 years or 50 years, they go, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to vote for that because you remember back in 2024 when they retroactively started jailing senators for allowing human trafficking? This is this is exactly what needs to happen.
yeah. Well, we're going to give it a shot. You never know unless you push it forward. Um, yeah, I've seen so much bad decision making at the highest levels of our government and no one ever being held accountable. And so I guess the issue here is accountability. Most of the people that make look, in all fairness, it could be a lot of those senators did it intentionally, leaving the border open. It could be that they're just stupid. But guess what? You don't get put in a leadership position to be stupid. So, you until, you know, there's some flesh on the chopping block,
Hmm.
they don't really pay much attention to what they do. It becomes such a game that runs around in circles up there with the debates and the compromise and the corruption and whatever it may be. And that's because the American people are not holding them accountable. We're kind of letting them play their own game up there, as they have for centuries, so to speak. But now I tend to think it's time. I think it's time for that to change. No one, we keep hearing this, is really interesting. No one is above the law, except for Hunter Biden and President Biden and Hillary Clinton,
And Fauci.
and that whole crowd, of course. But I think that if we're going to use that term, no one is above the law, then I think we need to apply it, to be honest with you. Because until that happens, they will they will lean into their immunity. They will continue to make stupid decisions that affect us, the public. And it's not with everything. There are reasons to have the immunity clause in there. I understand that. For
Sure.
example, president orders a strike against ISIS, and there's some civilians as collateral damage. You
It's
can't
a
hold the
gray
president.
area. Yeah, I
That's not
can
what we're talking
understand.
about. But in this case, I'm talking about intentionally leaving the border open, knowing ahead of time that criminals are going to come across. You can't tell me that the senators that backed the Biden administration's policy didn't realize that terrorists or criminals were going to come across the border. Okay, so criminals are going to come across. What do criminals do? They commit crimes in America. You open the door so the rabid dog could come through and destroy America. And I think that's pretty easy to prove, to be honest with you, in a court of law. Um, I mean, I'd love to just line them up, all of them that voted for that and supported that, including Biden and Harris, and grill them on that issue, to be honest with you, and watch them make fools of themselves, just from a common sense standpoint.
Ignorance versus evil. It's sure objectively ignorance isn't as bad as evil. I get it. Ignorance is not a defense. Hey, if you're evil and you cheat on an exam in college, you're gonna get kicked out. If you're stupid and fail the test, you're gonna get kicked out. One is worse than the other, objectively, sure. They both have the same outcome. So whether you're stupid and you voted for something, well, hey, throw that person in jail, and the next person that runs for senator, in 20 years, Senator Tommy's going to go, yeah, I probably should have learned about this new bill because ignorance isn't a thing, and I know nothing about, I don't know, new bills for commercial shipping, but I should probably look into that because I'm not trying to go to jail. And then
Yeah.
and if I don't want to do it, if I go, there's too many bills and I can't know all of them, then that's not my, then I'm not for this position and I should leave, and or you're complicit. And then the best case scenario, they are voting for things that open the border and they know full well that criminals come across. They're not that stupid. I don't believe they are. That's best case scenario.
Yeah.
Much more likely is that they are benefiting directly, either from cartels, either from handoffs somewhere in the chain of command to allow this shipment to come through, or it's they have a stake in private security firms that get a lot of contracts on the southern border near rich people's plantations. That is far more likely, and that is beyond criminal. So
Yeah.
it's ignorance. You got to get out. I don't believe it's ignorance. I don't believe that they're like, yeah, well, some criminals come. No, if you're doing that, you're getting something, and it's the worst
Yeah.
possible crime, like human trafficking. It
Yeah.
is. You're so through. There is nothing left. There is nothing less left redeemable. It's you ship drugs here, and I take them an overdose. Sure, that's on you. I'm also 34. I have free will. I'm an adult. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
If I go out and take some pills, hey, that's on me. Those are my demons. Should have tackled them a different way. And if I overdose, sad, that's on me. If you're trafficking people, let alone people, but children, there's no, there's, that's nothing. That needs to be
Yeah.
removed with a flamethrower.
Yeah. Well, that's the same thing with the senators. Hey, guess what? They contributed to the trafficking of children. That's a federal offense, you know? So, I mean, there you go. Much to your point. Yeah, there's another thing there outside of the murder. How about the organ harvesting, anything and everything? How about, you know, uh, some kind of, it's funny, an alliance with the cartel. When you talk about that, I literally, and I'm hoping the new GOJ will get cleaned up. I literally have photographs of a high-ranking official in Washington, D.C., standing next to a member of the cartel. And we've had that file for a long time. And I've always asked why I can't be the only one that knows about this. Why did no anyone not investigate this? The issue. So I agree with you 100%. I think there are people that have benefited and are benefiting. Look, you know this as well as I do, Tommy. Tracing money, I mean, it takes a pretty spiffy analyst, man, to find
Hmm.
all the cutouts and all the money's transferred and all the laundering. If there is probably any one group of people that are guilty of money laundering outside of your standard criminal, those are high-ranking officials in Washington, D.C. They transfer money all over the place. DOJ knows it, the FBI knows it, the CIA certainly knows it or knew it. And we as American people, we know it as well. And so I know investigations have been done into that and they have been found guilty. And I know of actually being in the room where it's like, we're not going to prosecute, we're going to drop this whole thing because it involves such and such or this person or that person. So um we push a lot under the rug, and it's time we stop doing that, to be honest with you. What's always been interesting to many of us is that the average Joe on the street can commit a crime and he or she goes to jail for it. The average elite member of a political organization or a corporation or whatever, they commit the same crime and they get a free hall pass. I don't think that's right. And I don't think the American people believe it's right. It goes back to no one's above the law. And yet there are people that believe they are. And that's why I go back to when things start, when there is a physical uh, and accountability physically, like you're going to be imprisoned or you're going to be hung or shot or you're going to go to the death chamber or whatever it may be. I think they start rethinking things, to be
Hmm.
honest with you. I do not think that our penalties in this country are stiff enough. You and I talked about this, and we had the whole opportunity to watch California when Gavin Newsom released what this number may not be right, 1,800 predators, sex offenders into California back on the streets when LA, went upside down by, you know, allowing crime to run rampant all over the city. I mean, the list goes on and on and on with the state of California. I wish it wasn't that way, and I hope that infection, that attitude doesn't infect other states. To be honest with you. So, but yeah, we're seeing it, and we're also seeing much to what you're talking about with Trump getting tough, DeSantis getting tough. All the right people saying enough's enough, whether that's the state of Oklahoma or Kentucky or whatever it may be. So I think that when we start hearing a little hoopla from the Democrats now, I think our message as Democrats is simply this: is like we don't care what you think anymore. Nobody likes you. You think you're liked. You are the scum of the earth. You are socialist pigs. And we have had enough of it. We don't want your liberal attitude. We don't want your wokeism. We don't want your DEI. We don't want your transgender. We don't want any of your crap. And every time you speak up, you're a fool because the majority of the American people have spoken by putting President Trump in office. And what President Trump stands for is what the people ask him to do. And that is, we're tired of it. So we just don't give a rat's ass anymore what you think. So they're just wasting their energy.
I'm sure you've seen it and you know it better than anyone with your military background. It's like the left sees violence as a dial and the right sees it as a switch. In that they'll turn on BLM. They'll turn on Antifa. You have people that for most of their lives are like, yeah, things are good enough until finally it's like, no, send the Marines to the border, ban all this shit. No, no, no aid, not gut it all. Send in Elon Musk and a team of 20-year-olds, gut the tread. It's there is no, it's once you push it to that, it's like when dad would get involved, mom's yelling at you, we're being bad kids. And then finally, like, dad comes home from work and he has to get up and once he gets up and gets involved, there's no like, it's like he turned off the TV. He put everything down. Like there's no the negotiations are over. It's
That's
dad's
right.
it's World War II. Dad's doing unconditional surrender now. You've already ruined the evening. Like it's over. It's over. Like
Yeah.
mom is a dial. Dad's involved. The game is over. The nukes are dropping. And I think that's kind of where we are now. And push forward relentlessly. God spared this country pushing that bullet out of the way. I'm not even kidding. I have atheist friends who have started praying and going to church because of that. They're like, there's no other explanation. There's no other explanation. God spared this country, and I'm getting good with them. So it is worth fighting for, and we do have because but the energy to do the switch, it's not it comes and it's here. You have to use it now.
Yeah.
There's no half measures. Like, all right, let's slow down. No, no, no. Border, propaganda, drugs, all of it. Destroy it all. Flamethrower. Because I don't want to do
Yeah.
this again. That's where it is. I don't really know where I was going with that. But
That's okay. Well, look, on that same line, I can't tell you how many meetings I've been in, and the largest percentage of the room are all Democrats who aren't Democrats anymore. And I have conversations with them. They they're either independents, conservatives, or now Republicans. And they're the ones telling me, how could we have been so blind? How could we have been misled? How did that happen to us? And many of those will say the same thing. They'll say, I know how it happened to me. I strayed from my faith with God.
mm,
And I believed the world instead of just believing what God had already taught me as well. So we're seeing a lot of those people also. I saw this pastor. I can't even remember where it was, Tommy. It might have been on one of the social media platforms, and he was literally in his church going, if you're a Democrat, you can't be a Christian because Christians don't believe in aborting babies. And he just went down the whole line. And I looked at it and what he was saying, I went, wow, he's got a kind of got a point there. So, and he's like, if you don't like it, leave the church, kind of thing. So I think that if there is one thing that sets us apart when it comes to parties, is that many, if not most, of the Republicans and the conservatives have a strong faith in God.
Hmm.
And many, if not most, Democrats in that party or have gravitated to that party are really of the world. It's they believe in the world, they believe in serving the world, and they don't have great faith in God. And if they do, then they need to stop and say, wait a minute, what's in conflict here? It's like God says this, but the party I'm finding says this. I had friends that actually way back in the day, the Cold War, actually escaped from Russia. And I remember that was one of the things they talked to me about is how, even back in Lenin and Stalin's days, when the churches were shut down and the Bibles were burned, and how they tried to convince people uh, to lose their faith in God. And if they could do that, then they could bring in a worldly, um, kind of a worldly thinking process with socialism and communism and whatever it may be, and I think that's kind of what was happening here in America the last 4 years, to be honest with you. And you are right. God has given us a reprieve, and we need to be grateful for it, and we need to get back to our roots. Um, and stand up for what we believe, which is one nation under God, you know, indivisible with liberty and justice for all, and the Constitution, and the fact that it's we the people. So if it is we the people, then we the people have spoken, and Trump's in. So guess what? Live with it.
Mm.
And I think we the people made a good decision, to be honest with you. And I think it's paying off, and we're seeing it. Look at what Trump's done in weeks that Biden couldn't do in 4 years, or Harris or the Democrats.
They could have done. That's the difference. It's not that they couldn't do. That's
Right.
incompetence.
I stand corrected.
They
You're exactly
wouldn't
right.
they
They
wouldn't do,
wouldn't.
which is
Yeah.
far, far worse. It is complicit and conscious evil. That's the difference.
Yeah.
No, they could. They absolutely
Yeah.
could.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. And
Uh,
we're saying that you got to ask yourself, how about why? I'll tell you why. Because of the evil that wanted to destroy the country,
hmm.
because of the globalist influence and the socialist influence and people on other people's payrolls, like like the Clintons and the Obamas and the Bushes and people that have really already sold out the country, in my opinion, and an opinion of a lot of Americans, to be honest with you. It's really funny if you watch how they interact with President Trump, who's not part of the boys club, as far as we know. And they've got their side, and there's Trump standing alone, with 73,000 angels around him, so to speak, and millions of Americans who love him and are willing to back him and back the policies. And what's interesting is when the media attacks him, they attack him like it's his policy. He's doing what the American people are asking. It's us. Why doesn't the media attack us? Why doesn't the media go after the whatever 55 million Americans plus that voted Trump in? Who we're the ones through our senators and our representatives saying this is what we want. And the president is just kind of following through with the will of the people. He is serving the people. And yet they realize that if they go after the 55 million plus Americans out here, they're not going to have a story to put in print. So they go after one man.
Well, it's easy to do that, and it's they're evil, but they're smart. It's a good tactical move. You attack a guy based on character, and like you can, right? I mean, it's he's a billionaire, thrice married. Those are things you can attack him on, but it's because they don't want to attack the actual issues. But they're also, the policies. It's not even that. It's not even that like, well, Trump's enforcing existing law. These aren't new laws. These are
Yeah.
existing laws. He's just going, hey, We're gonna follow the law. He's just doing that. And but it's but the proof is in the pudding. The fact that they won't tackle that, it tells you it's because they know that there's no ground to stand on. So I think it's I think it's insanely telling what we're seeing right now with USAID and the amount of propaganda it was funding domestically is
Yeah,
everyone's hunch is correct. Like, hey man, the vast majority of people don't think it's bad to defend the border. They don't think it's bad to be a nuclear family. They don't think it's bad to take care of America. It took a massive federally funded international cabal of propaganda to make you think that a large portion of Americans did want this to happen because that's part of what you do is you want to make people feel isolated and alone. You go, well, I want America to be strong, but I'm the only person. Maybe I'll just keep that to myself. There's great reason.
yeah,
It's the quote, if the situation was hopeless, the propaganda would be necessary. And so I think that's kind of also what we're hitting right now, which is on it's a bit that feels good. You go, oh, I wasn't alone. They just wanted us to make us all feel like we were crazy for thinking that we shouldn't chop 5-year-olds' genitals off, right?
yeah.
It's yeah, and I would say, to the kind of crazy far leftist people, it's of like all the people I know that have like come to God in the last 6 months or a year, I'd probably say the most powerful one is this chick I'm friends with. And I won't say who is as far left as you. I mean, the lesbian, blue hair, armpit hair, and she has come back to Christ. And so
Wow.
you know what? I'm not gonna throw the first stone because God is capable of anything, and anyone can turn back
Yeah.
to God. And so that's what I'd
Amen.
say is anyone that, hey, you can turn back to God. You can. You absolutely can. It's never too
Yeah.
late. It's never too late. And
Yeah.
you can. Don't feel like you've dug your grave and, well, no, 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 no. You can the love and mercy and compassion of God is infinite, and don't despair. You can come back to God.
Yeah.
You can always come. The
Yeah.
door is unlocked. You can always come back home. So that's what I would
Yeah.
say. Um, is there anywhere people aside from ARC, is there anywhere people can support or even if it's just sharing or financially or anything, in what ways can people support the legislation you're trying to get put through to hold senators accountable?
Are you talking about the bill that we're trying to get up? Is that what
Yeah,
you're talking
yeah.
about?
Is there, well, because like I said, ARC isn't all the descriptions, but for
Yeah.
this specifically, is there a way people can help or just share the episode?
Yeah, I think about what we're talking about, and if you have that mindset, then support us by letting us know that you think it's a good idea. Hit us up on Facebook or hit us up on, recoveryofchildren.com or recoveryofchildren.org and let us know that we have your support. That would be great. You know, um, it's always good to know the what the masses of Americans think about a lot of things. And we're always going to get criticized as well for certain things, and that's okay. It's an education for us. But outside of that, prayers are really important, Tommy. Thank you for asking. Pray that the veil is lifted so we know where more and more kids are. And then, of course, you can always financially support us, as you know, that we do these rescues at no cost to the custodial guardians and with no paycheck in our pocket. So anything and everything, every penny counts. We greatly appreciate that. We are as you know, we're the one of the, if not the oldest running child rescue organization in America since 1993. So we've gotten in the trenches of trafficking a long time ago. We're just called to do it, and we're going to keep doing it. But we do need the help of the American people, and it's an issue because the children are the future of our country. The future of America. So we need to take care of them, each and every one of them. And so the financial support's good, prayers are good, and stand with us as we're out there running operations against all the bad guys.
And you're doing the Lord's work, and it's you get Ark is in a pantheon. You are one of one. Every other time, it's if there's ever a link in the description, it's either to support the podcast or it's the guest's website or book or whatever. You guys are in every description now. You hold that you are one of one. So for whatever
Thanks,
that's
Tommy.
worth, and for everybody listening, whatever that's worth, It's the only thing I put in there every single time. Just it's they're doing the Lord's work. So, um, but Baz, we are gonna wrap this up because I'm being taken down by a sore throat because I am a weak man and I will rest
Yeah.
and I'll come back stronger.
Huh. Well, thanks for pulling your boots up and being a man and being able to take the thing today.
I
It's
got you.
it's always good seeing you, and I hope your audience appreciates you as much as we do. You are the voice of America on so many issues. I know there's a lot of people out there that claim to be, but you're doing it and you're doing it right, and you've been steadfast. And most people don't know. Most people don't know the tremendous amount of stress at times that you can be under, or the particularly when you stood strong for Trump and America when the Biden administration was in, and a lot of things that you spoke, a lot of truths you spoke out on, and I'm proud of you for doing it.
Thank you.
Um, other people would have ran and hid, but you did not. So, and guess what? Now it's paying off. So we salute you, buddy.
Thank you, brother. I love you, Baz. Those were very kind words. Thank you, sir. It's yeah. Now
All
I've done
right,
some episodes with Baz where I've finished after, and I'm like, yeah, that was I got 10 hours to live, and and hey, we're still here. So if God still
exactly.
has us here, if not me, who? So like yeah, guys, go in the description, go support Baz, and yeah, man, if you're hesitant, turn back to God. It's truly never too late. Turn back to God. He's always there. Baz, I love you, brother. Thank you so
All right,
much.
brother. God bless you, man. Thanks,
Thank you.
Tommy.
Thank
You
you,
guys have
sir.
a great day.
Thank you. Guys,